So, Stacy, we're so happy to be able to welcome you and our festival back. You've been with us before, and we, of course, are looking forward to being able to welcome you in Santa Cruz in the Civic Auditorium next year and in the years to come. But for now, this is a strange time. Of course, it's a unique time also because it challenges our creativity in having to come up with solutions to problems that I don't think we imagined in the past. Can you tell us just a little bit about this piece that we are performing? Your piece that you wrote.
Sure. First, I just want to say I'm so thrilled to be working with you and Cabrillo again. The first time I was at Cabrillo was, I think, 2014. That was the previous time. And that was with a pre-existing piece I'd already written. And I swore if I ever had the opportunity to write something new, I would take it. So thank you for this opportunity. This piece really started, I think, about a year ago when you and Ellen approached me about a piece in honor of the 19th Amendment's passage, the 100-year anniversary. So that's where, you and I had a phone conversation. We decided it would be for narrator and orchestra, and then the search for texts began, and that lasted a good long while. For a long while, I thought I would be doing one. I was looking for a series of quotes of different suffragettes. And then I ended up finding this one speech by Susan B. Anthony that she had been arrested for having voted in an election. And she went to trial for it. But before the trial, she gave a speech about, is it a crime for a woman to vote? And for the longest time, we thought that my piece was about that. And that's how I orchestrated the music. I paced out the music itself based on the speech of Susan B. Anthony. And then as things have moved along, fast forward to George Floyd's death and all the racial reckoning that's going on in this country. And Ellen Premack and I got on the phone and she said, we'll support you no matter what you do, but this is an interesting time in history, basically. And that's when I really realized this piece cannot be about Susan B. Anthony anymore. What started off as a good idea was also a bit in ignorance, I have to say, on my side of it. I had done research enough to know that Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony were pushing for the white woman's vote over the black woman's vote in various moments of time. I didn't do enough digging, and I didn't realize that they had aligned themselves with white supremacists in order to really get their right to vote. And I felt utterly sick to my stomach when I discovered this and thought, what are we doing? This is completely the wrong story to be telling ever. And I'm sorry, that's why I'm embarrassed that I had thought initially at all that it was a good idea just to go with one suffragette, and particularly Susan B. Anthony. So that became a great moment to rethink the whole project through. The music didn't change at all. It's the same music, which actually gave me a structure the same way that her speech gave me the structure already of what kind of quotes am I looking for. And I put a few stipulations on, such as the new suffragettes quotes I'm looking for all have to be before the 19th Amendment passed. So they're all still in agreement of what they're looking for, even though there were different approaches. And then I just did a whole bunch of research and found 4 Black suffragettes and 2 additional white suffragettes with wonderful quotes about why the ballot is so important, why the right to vote is so important. And I crafted the story from there.
Yeah, you know, for the past 3 years that I've been in Cabrillo, my mission has not been so much to perhaps create music or create art that gives an answer to a problem, but rather that opens up a door to a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, this, which I didn't even imagine, because like you, and also for me, having not really been educated until college in the United States, I feel like I feel like I missed out on a lot of things that are very basic or should be basic in American education.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, they are not addressed in the right way either. So I didn't expect that this would actually open up a door to such an incredible wide lens of being able to learn and to understand and to educate ourselves in the process of creating this piece. I kind of felt like it was all right, we're doing this. This is the right thing to do. We're celebrating the 100th anniversary of something that was very, very important, not actually anticipating that we will put ourselves in a situation where we have to learn a lot about what was not actually finished and
Right.
what was being pushed to the side in order to accomplish this. So once again, I feel like, if anything, it is the perfect answer to how beautiful it is when you start trying to create an artistic statement or to trying to create a piece about a subject. It will lead you in places you have no idea you will arrive. And
Yes.
and at the end of it, I still don't have all the answers, but I feel more enlightened. I feel more grateful for the opportunity to have learned, and I definitely am inspired by the amount of work that I feel like it still needs to be done,
Mhm.
rather than saying, okay, this was 100 years ago, it's finished, we've solved this problem, let's move on, because it's not that. Um,
Right.
and I know from talking to you, I know that you feel the same about this.
Very much so. One of the most shocking parts of the research, once I went back to the research phase, was how little there is written, how few accounts there are of these Black suffragettes and what they said. So the digging I had to do involved getting books off of Amazon.com right away, and there aren't that many. So I was able to get the couple that are out, and some more are coming out onto the market, which is a good sign that more people are doing research in this area. And I went through those books and found the sources they used for their quotes. And then I went online, and sure enough, like the NAACP was one of the ones that really helped me. They started a magazine called The Crisis pretty much right after they began their organization. So there were two particular periodicals that they had within the Crisis magazine. One was in 1912 and the other one was in 1915, where they had several articles by Black suffragettes, both men and women, about the case of why they should have the right to vote. So that was really, it was very disturbing to realize that this history has been buried or not recorded. Another example of this was we got a lot of pictures. I did a lot of searches for pictures on the Library of Congress website to find pictures of suffragettes. Here they are protesting in front of the White House, and here they are marching down Main Street. There were almost no pictures of Black suffragettes.
Mhm.
And I was trying every word combination I could think of to try to find pictures. And it's just like, man, this history is just not there. So I'm hoping this, and what I've done in recrafting this narrative and work that these books are doing, and authors and speakers that are doing right now, will help bring back this legacy that was there, that all the work they did that's now been covered up or buried or just forgotten.
Mhm. And it just makes me think, how much more there is out there that in other subjects, in other areas, in
Right.
other moments of historical relevance,
Mhm.
that is so directly and so uh, uniquely linked into the creation of America, because this is what America is. And I think we are at a point in time where we are inspired and we are asked to look back and to actually create a right narrative, or the true narrative of what our history has been, and what the history of America has been. And I think the arts, like always, plays such an important part.
Mhm.
I had a conversation with Wynton Marsalis just a few days ago, and um, we were talking exactly about this, the importance of music and arts. And he said, look, music is consciousness. He said it is the constant that we go back to when we look in our own humanity, because people have been contributing to this consciousness for so many years. And in some ways, it's so beautiful to be able to tap into this consciousness,
Mhm.
and then through it actually have a better lens and a better understanding of the truth. and to be able to see the reality in the way that you discovered and I discovered, and I think all the musicians involved. We had many discussions about this because when we started recording the piece, it was a different piece.
Mhm.
You know, it had a completely different feel to it, and it was amazing to me to watch the transformation. As you said, the music did not change, but the meaning of the music changed so much with changing the words in it. um,
Right.
and this is so beautiful. You know, we know that music changes its meaning based on how we see it and how we interpret it. I mean, there are so many examples in the history where music was used for a propaganda that was not necessarily the intent of the composer. So
Mhm.
we know that music can be twisted in a negative way. But it was interesting for me to see how the essence of the piece changed so much and became so much. I don't want to say deeper, but it changed the lens. It became so much wider, you know, what it was, and it made me think in a very different way. You know, it made me feel like there needs to be action rather than just a reflection. You know.
Right. It's not just a historical document anymore, where it really was about Susan B. Anthony actually getting up and delivering the speech. Now it feels like the way it ends, it's really a call to action, more so than ever before. One of the things that I really focused on was how do I weave all these seven voices so you don't know who's talking when? And I don't think we're putting it into the video. I don't think you're seeing whose quote is whose until the very end of the video. So that only at that point, there's only a couple moments you become aware that the speaker is Black. So, and I won't give those away or anything, but I think that was one of the beauty of putting this together is not only is it a challenge to take the amount of seconds that I had allotted per slot for the speaker to speak the text before the music comes in or does whatever it needs to do, but also how do I find it with the right message and mix these voices up enough. So it was really an interesting jigsaw puzzle to put this whole thing back together again once it was ripped apart. But that's where I began to realize, I feel a lot of times in composing, you don't necessarily know how an idea is strong or weak until you have another idea to present against it. And then you can do this compare and contrast. And I do that all the time musically. But because I had only this one speech, I hadn't challenged Susan B. Anthony's text the same way I had with the music. So then when I had all these other quotes at my disposal and all these other ladies that had spoken so eloquently on suffrage, then it became apparent, oh, there's a lot more I can say with this. And how am I going to craft this to have a stronger message?
Yeah, yeah. So since you talked a little bit about the music, because this was such a unique project, right? I don't know if you've done this before to have a piece premiered, you know, remotely with literally entire orchestra, and I just want people to realize this. I think when they will see the piece, they will see this. Um, we really did have the entire orchestra record their parts. So even if, let's say, you know, for the violins, you have you know, you have 20 some violins total, but usually there are only two voices, violin one and two. We didn't have two people, we had 20
Mhm.
record this. And I just want people to understand that this was, because it's another level of challenging, you know, ways of achieving this project. But I think people will be really moved by being able to see everything. How did it feel for you as a composer to trust sort of this crazy creation where you have absolutely no, I mean, in some ways you have more control because you know you were involved a lot with the recording process, but at the same time you never really get to hear the whole piece until everyone has recorded it. You know,
Right.
it's very difficult to go back and say, actually, can we have the entire, you know, viola part or clarinet part or whatever? Can we do this entire part again? Like you have to find creative ways to anticipate all those problems, right?
Right. Um, I think because of the nature of the piece, it actually worked really well for this sort of thing. And what I mean by that is when I was trying to first orchestrate it or write ideas for this, I realized that text is most important. And that means that the orchestra has to be a little under the narrator. And that simplifies what the music can be. So I was writing another orchestra piece at the same time as this one, and that one was for St. Louis Orchestra, and it's about Hindu goddesses. It's called the Goddess Triptych. And that one had all this crazy stuff going on. None of that could happen in this piece. This one was very straightforward, very focused on the text, very nice, beautiful melodies going on, the utter contrast to the other one. That one I don't think would work so well if we were to try to do what we did with this one. But when you send me that email saying, is it possible to do that with this, with the, what became the Battle of the Ballot, it's like, actually, I think, yeah. I mean, the biggest problem is that it's 16 minutes long, and all the videos we're seeing online of people putting together these virtual choirs and virtual orchestras, they tend to be with short pieces, maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes long. So that was my biggest worry, was this too long to put this together in this manner? But Svet, bless his heart, thought there was a way, and you thought there was a way, and sure enough, we have found the way to do this.
Yeah, and just so people also understand this, the way that the musicians recorded this is all of them recorded it in one take, right? So the if you made a mistake, you're at minute 14 and you made a mistake as a musician, you go back to zero, right? This is psychologically, for me it was psychologically difficult when I was recording my own conducting of the piece, because I really had to concentrate. And then there are also issues of technical things. I mean, one of my takes stopped halfway through because I ran out of space on my phone. I ran out of memory space because I had been recording so many things, and I didn't get it. So, I mean, the challenges that you have to worry about, and but I know that people will appreciate knowing the virtuosity, I should say, that it takes for the orchestra to be able to record each one of these lines.
And I think they had to each do it twice, so that Svet had 2 full takes, and that included video. So then when the video is put together, we can see their faces as well as hear them. For me, the biggest worry was the acoustics of everybody's spaces, and how do we, when you're sitting in the civic auditorium and everyone is sharing the same acoustic, how do we, is that going to be a problem when everyone is in their own space? So I think Svet has done a fantastic job making sure it sounds like we're all in the same space. And a lot of our editing sessions, when he had joined all the files together, all the 60 musicians, and we're trying to figure out the balance, the question became, if we were sitting in the auditorium, in the civic auditorium, and I was in the audience and you guys were on stage, what instrument should I be hearing at what point, and how much of that? So like, oh, harp is a little too hot, we need to lower that a little bit, or percussion is not, I can't hear that enough. So it was trying to replicate that experience in the civic auditorium.
Yeah. Interesting challenges at these very real times, I should say. We were so grateful that you sort of jumped into this project with us without looking back, and I'm also really happy that we did this, because I'm curious what would have happened if you would have had the same reaction if in February or in March we just said, okay, let's take 1 year and then do the piece then. I don't know if we would have been, trying to address this issue in a different way. I just wonder for myself,
Right.
And I'm so happy that we took on this challenge, and then the result of where we arrived is what the piece has become. So really, really happy and grateful to you for coming with us on this journey. And we're gonna hear the piece, and I can't wait after the piece is finished to have a little celebratory moment for you, for your beautiful piece, and of course the continued inspiration to continue the work that we've learned needs to be done.
And I just have to say, I'm grateful it all played out the way it did. When Ellen called me and said, okay, the Cabrillo's not going to happen. You can take your time if you want to write the piece later in the year. And part of me thought, nope, I'm just going to stay with my composing schedule. I'm going to do it next. If I hadn't done that, we wouldn't be talking right now. This would not be happening. And I would not have grown as an artist and as a person with the whole discussion that we've had about this would have stayed a Susan B. Anthony piece, and it would have been hideously out of touch with reality by the time you actually got, maybe we would have had be having these discussions. I would hope we would, but it would be a year later. So I'm very grateful that it actually, everything did play out exactly the way it did. And yeah, we've all been learning a lot of new skills. That's all wonderful, but I can't wait till we're all celebrating together in Santa Cruz once again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Stacy.